Ride me like you, ride that horse. Cowboy ordered the young woman at sunset. Before we get into the story, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and tell us where you are watching from. Montana, 1886. The wind in Cedar Crossing cut through skin like a blade, testing one's courage. The horse-drawn wagon stopped in front of the Double R barn. Nora Lane stepped down tall, slender, her eyes steady and sharp like forged steel. By the fence stood Elias Reed, broad-shouldered, rough hands, the look of a man who had survived too many brutal winters. "Are you Nora Lane?" His voice was deep, rumbling like distant thunder. "Yes," she answered, "and I do not need anyone to pick me up." A brief silence. Their eyes met cold, sharp, and then, for just a second, a spark flickered. From a distance, a young boy called out, "Father, she looks different." Elias simply said, "You will stay at my house." The boarding house burned down. "No," Nora hesitated, lifting her chin slightly. "I do not live under another man's roof." "Then, just for now," Elias replied, his tone hard as frozen earth. No one knew that single word "now" would change all three of their lives forever. The wagon rattled away from the main street, its iron wheels grinding over the frozen ground. Before Nora stretched a vast field, reaching the purple mountains, beautiful enough to chill the heart. The Double R appeared ahead, rugged yet proud, a fortress standing against the wind. Luke jumped off the wagon, shouting, "Miss Nora, come see my colt." Nora smiled, but Elias only glanced briefly. He placed her bag on an empty bed and said, "The rules here are simple. Rise with the sun, work until it sets. I mind my business, you mind yours." Arms crossed, Nora replied, "I came here to teach, not to be protected." Elias studied her, his gaze testing her spirit. Just do not bring chaos to the Double R. But Nora was not the kind to sit still. The next morning, she was up before Elias brewed coffee, mended the curtain, cleaned the kitchen. When he frowned, she said, "I am not helping anyone. I just hate sitting idle." Luke laughed, pulling her toward the stables. "Father never makes me laugh like you do." Elias stood still, listening to that laughter. And in that moment, he knew the house had already changed. By late afternoon, dark clouds gathered, and the wind howled. The storm hit suddenly, like heaven itself was angry. Thunder rolled, and lightning split across the roof of Double R. Nora jolted awake, her eyes wide in the dark. Memories from Street Lewis rushed back, the sound of glass breaking, men shouting, fear mixed with rain. Then came a knock. "Are you still awake?" Elias's deep voice carried through the door. "Yes." He opened the door, the lamplight revealing his tired but kind face. "Luke is asleep. That boy is not afraid of any storm." Nora smiled faintly. "I wish I were like him." Elias sat down slowly. "Thunder is only sound. It cannot hurt you." She looked out the window. "Sometimes what scares us most is not out there." He spoke softly. "I am afraid too, afraid of losing what little I have left." Nora looked up. His eyes were no longer cold, only honest. She placed her hand gently over his. Every storm passes eventually. Outside, thunder still rumbled. But inside that small room, a different kind of fire began to glow. The morning after the storm, the Montana sky was crystal clear. The grass sparkled wet and silver. The air carried the scent of new earth. Everything seemed peaceful until Nora found a folded paper tucked under the classroom board. "You can run, but you cannot hide from your blood. Your father's debt is still mine to collect." Her hand trembled. Memories struck a drunken father, gambling debts, the night she ran away. She had thought she escaped, but the past had found her at Double R. That evening, Elias noticed the unease in her eyes. "Is something wrong, Nora?" "No," she whispered, "just a little tired." But days later, just after sunset, Luke came running in, breathless. "Father, there are men outside." Two dusty strangers burst through the door. The taller one sneered, "Miss Lane, your father promised you to us. It is time to pay up." Elias stepped in front of Nora, his gaze sharp as a knife. "Get out!" "Oh," the man spat. "Next time, maybe we will take the boy instead." And for the first time, Nora understood the past had truly found her. The air grew heavy, like the night before a storm. Elias's hand tightened around his gun, his voice steel hard. "Get off my ranch, now." Cutter smirked. "You think you can keep her forever? A debt is a debt." Nora stepped forward, her voice trembling. "If it is me they want, I will—" "No," Elias thundered, his voice roaring like the storm outside. "No one takes you anywhere. Not today, not ever." Luke hid behind his father, eyes wide. The house fell silent, only the wind whistling through the door. Cutter spat on the floor. "I will be back, and I will not come alone." When the sound of hoofbeats faded, Nora collapsed into a chair, tears streaming down her face. "My father, he owed them everything. I ran before they came." Elias gripped her shoulders firmly. "Listen to me, Nora. You are not a debt to be collected. No one has the right to put a price on you." She wept, and Luke watched them in his young eyes. Understanding dawned. This was the moment a real family was born. Elias said softly, his tone firm as iron, "Let them come back. This family does not run." After Cutter's visit, Double R fell eerily quiet. The wind passing through the fences carried a scent of danger. Nora lived in constant tension. Every distant hoofbeat made her heart clench. One evening, under the flickering light by the window, she said quietly, "I should leave, Elias. If they return, you and Luke will be in danger." He stepped closer, his shadow merging with hers in the glass. "Do you think I fear them?" "I think you have already lost too much," she replied softly. He was silent for a moment, then said, "Since you came, this house has laughter again. Luke sleeps peacefully, and me. I no longer find winter so long." Tears welled in her eyes. "I have been running my whole life, but here I want to stop." Elias touched her cheek gently. "Then stay." The space between them disappeared in a slow, trembling kiss, real, deep, and full of truth. Outside, the wind was still cold, but inside Double R, the fire was warm again. 2 days later, Cedar Crossing stirred with rumours Cutter was back. Everyone knew. This time, he was not coming for debt, but for revenge. By late afternoon, red dust rose as Cutter rode into town, shouting through clenched teeth, "Nora Lane, come out! Your father's debt, you pay it." But he did not see a frightened woman. In front of him stood Elias Reed, tall, unyielding, with Nora beside him and Luke holding her hand. Behind them, the townsfolk of Cedar Crossing stood in silent solidarity. "She belongs to us," Cutter sneered. Elias stepped forward, his voice booming across the street. "If you want her, you will have to go through me and through this whole town." Cutter drew his gun, but Sheriff Graves raised his own. "One bullet, Cutter, and you die right here." Silence stretched. Cutter's eyes darted around 100 cold, steady gazes fixed on him. He cursed, yanked his reins, and galloped away in fury. The crowd erupted in cheers. Nora turned to Elias, tears shining. She knew this was not just victory. This was freedom. When the sound of hoofbeats faded, the whole street burst into applause. Elias turned to Nora, took her hand, and knelt right there in the dusty road. "Nora Lane," he said, his voice thick yet steady. "Stay with me, marry me. Let our names stand side by side. Let us raise this boy and any child that God gives us. Be my partner in every storm." Nora laughed through her tears. "Yes, Elias, 1,000 times yes." Cheers erupted across Cedar Crossing. And right then, in that cold land, Nora knew that for the first time in her life, she had found home. That spring, the snow melted early on the hills, revealing green fields like a new beginning for Cedar Crossing. The whole town buzzed with excitement for the wedding of Nora Lane and Elias Reed, the teacher who had run from her past, and the man who once thought his heart had turned to stone. Church bells rang far across the valley. The townsfolk gathered in numbers never seen before to witness the miracle of the cold land. In a simple white dress, Nora walked slowly down the aisle, her eyes meeting Elias's steady, warm. "I once thought my heart was dead," he said softly, "but you made me believe love can grow again, even on frozen ground." Nora whispered back, her voice trembling, "And I have stopped running, because here I have a home." The bells rang out. They kissed amid cheers and golden sunlight spilling across the valley. That night, stars blanketed the Montana sky, witnesses to a love forged through wind, storm, and the courage to stay. If you too believe that true love can calm even the fiercest storm, make sure to like, share, and follow for more stories like this. Chasta.